This is red mulberry. All these are red mulberry. I cut them a little over 2.5 years ago. So they're pretty good. They're a little crooked. Actually, I think this is the straightest one I have of all of them. They've all got a little sway to them. Some of them got a little propeller twist. So this piece of red mulberry has got a little snakiness to it. The limbs line up pretty good though. The only problem that I have with it at all is this giant knot down here. That sucker's pretty big, and you look through here and you got some bug holes. And I cut this thing alive and it already had these holes in it. So I'm gonna cut into that a little bit and see what it looks like. I think that would easily come out, the knot anyway. It still has a sapwood on, so we're gonna be going down a few layers. Let's cut in here and see what it looks like. I'm hoping these little bug holes don't go too deep in here. It's almost too big for my shape force. Tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and take off this side right here with this knot and see what it looks like. Probably get the hatchet. Okay, I got the side squared up a little bit. Got a little bit of the wood off the bottom here where it's just splintered out. I think this is gonna be great. No problem at all. I think it's gonna come right out. It's just a little rotted spot in there. Next thing I'm gonna do is get some of the sapwood off. I should have done that while the wood was green, but I didn't. It was a huge mistake. I mean, no big deal, I guess. But anyway, it created all these little drying checks that I think they're just gonna go till they hit the heartwood and they'll stop. No big deal. But anyway, I'm gonna get this sapwood off. You can tell it's about 1/2 inch thick. So that's a lot of wood we're going to be removing. Kind of a lot of work. I think it would have been easier if I'd have done it when it was green. But let's get started. I've got this stave down to almost 1 growth ring. I think to about 2 growth rings actually. I went through in a couple spots. And you can see they're pretty thin, not very thick at all. I went through right here. There's a couple more spots where I went through down there. So anyway, I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna take this outer growth ring off entirely with a scraper, just so I can be a little more careful, get around these knots and stuff and make it perfect 1 grain all the way down the entire length of the stave. All right, I've got it all down to 1 grain. I am getting ready to draw my bow outline. This side has got a lot of big knots on it, and so I'm gonna kind of favor this other side over here. I went ahead and got a pencil and I traced this longitudinal grain best I could, at least until it tapered out. So I'm gonna square this up with a file, and then I'm gonna base the outline of my bow off this side over here. Okay, so now I have squared up. This is the side. I just followed the grain down. I squared it up. It looks pretty good. Now I used a compass and a pencil to mark a line exactly 2 inches wide, and then I'm just going to use a file to come all the way to that line, and it's going to make this thing perfectly 2 inches wide the entire length. It's got some twist to it. I think I can get a lot of that out with heat probably. My problem is going to be these knots. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem, but this one right here, if you look, that one right there is just dead center of the limb. It's right at 60 inches. My 60-inch mark is right here. So I'm thinking I might just take this down and end up making it a 60-inch bow. So that's what we're left with.
I think this tip, it'll thin out and get that whole knot section will come out of there altogether.
Got this thing kind of sanded down, bending a little. It's still pretty stiff, but it's still got a little bit of bend to it. Let me show you what I got. It's got a little propeller twist, and so I'm gonna just kind of pick a section and just go a section at a time, and I'm gonna heat this up with a heat gun. This is where I'm gonna focus more on this little part right here. That's where most of the twist is. I'm gonna use a heat gun and try to straighten that out just a little bit at a time and get these a little closer to the same on both ends. People will obsess over this limb twist and stuff like that. It don't have to be perfect. You know, the closer you get it, the better. But maybe my skill level is just not to the point that I would even notice. But it seems like I've got some that are pretty twisted and they shoot just as good as any of my other bows. So I don't think it has to be perfect. I want it as close as I can get it, but I don't think there's much of a negative from them being twisted. Maybe a little more hand shock, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I've got this thing kind of clamped to the sawhorses, and you can kind of tell the extent of this twist, like how bad it is right here on this end. Like, that's pretty severe. But we're going to do a little section at a time. This is where most of the bend is in this one, is just in this section right here. So I am going to get a clamp or something and put it right here and have a weight on it, and I'm going to heat it up with a heat gun and slowly just try to twist this part out. Alright, so I'm going to heat this up with a heat gun for about 10-15 minutes. I've got this clamp on right here, and I've got this metal buckle here. I'm gonna heat it up pretty good, and I'm going to put this on here and just let it slowly kind of pull the twist out. It gives it a good consistent pressure, and then when I stop heating it up, it'll hold it until it cools off. All right, after my first straightening session, this is what we got. And if you can see that, it's actually pretty close to the same. And I'll do a little fine tuning and get them a little more perfect, but a lot better than it was already. All right, here we go. Strung up for the very first time. Relatively even. It needs a little work, but not terrible. Kind of a low brace height right now. £42 at 26.
I like it.
Oh yeah, that started quick.